Happy Mola Monday, Epic 7, and welcome to Day 1 of my Ancient Inheritance Season 4 walkthrough. Now, if you're the organizer for your guild for Ancient Inheritance, I strongly recommend that you add a note on this homepage to let your guild know to check your Discord server for instructions on how to proceed. Now, when you jump right into Ancient Inheritance, the first thing you'll be faced with is a choice of which relic to select. This starting relic cannot be changed or replaced later, and it's kind of important. There are 3 relics that are worth getting, and I've got 2 of them right here. The Wanderer's Pipe is, in my opinion, probably still the best. Even though they nerfed movement EXP a bit, we mathed it out, and it is almost identical to the Exploration Journal. So if you can get Wanderer's Pipe or the Exploration Journal, either one of those would be really good options. The Wooden Spatula is probably a distant third, and the other options are all kinda garbage. I would avoid them. So now that I've secured the Wanderer's Pipe, I'm going to take a look at the map. Now, I designed a map specifically for my guild. You're welcome to use it if you like. It'll be linked in the description, as well as a link to a blank map, but I'm on the blue team, so I am heading to the west. Now, my first stop's going to be at this Tome of Knowledge. Some people skip these, and that's fine. I think they're worth picking up a few of them, especially if you have the Exploration Journal. As you can see, they're key to level you up. Now that I have gone up a level, I get some class enhancement points. Now, you can use these class enhancement points to raise levels. Everybody should level up their Soul Weavers, because no matter who else you pick, Soul Weavers are needed. Warriors are, in my opinion, probably the best class for Ancient Inheritance. Rangers and Mages are also really good. Now, Knights have kind of some niche use. They're incredibly powerful at clearing out mini-bosses, but not so good against the Priest. And Thieves, some people love Thieves, but in my opinion, their kits and diversity of artifacts just aren't as well suited for Ancient Inheritance, so I recommend avoiding them. Whatever you do, hard focus 2 to 3 classes tops. Don't spread this around. Just be a master of one trade, not a jack of all. I'm going to go with Warriors and Soul Weavers for this Ancient Inheritance run. It's usually what I run with, and it's what I'm most comfortable with. Now, even though we're not ready to do any fights, I highly recommend you enlist at least a few heroes. When you pick up scrolls along the way, some of them will give you better rewards if you do a fight, and you don't want to see a reward you really want, and you can't use it because you didn't have any heroes enlisted to do some fights. So, pick up some heroes. I will have a list of recommended heroes in the description, but for Warriors and Soul Weavers, you really can't go wrong with Amelia because of her pushes, and Ken because, it's going to sound funny, but Fire Ken is probably hands down the best Ancient Inheritance unit in the game. He packs his own defense breaks, he self-buffs, he does really good damage, he stacks burns, everything you could want for some of these niche fights. So definitely pick up Fire Ken. I'm going to also pick up Conqueror Lilius. Conqueror Lilius plus one other unit, like say Luna for example, can solo a lot of those mini-boss fights. I'll go ahead and grab another healer as well. Acades is a really solid healer, so I think I'll pick her up. And that gives me 2 warriors and 2 healers. You know, I want to save Fire Ken. I don't want to have Fire Ken be wasted in some trash mob fight. So I'll go ahead and pick up one other warrior here. I think Luna is probably a really good choice. So we'll snag her. That way I can use Luna and Conqueror Lilius to deal with the trash mob fights, and I can save Ken for the Warden fights. Luna is not very good for the Warden fight because the Warden seals all passives, and half of Luna's stat bonuses are passives. Okay, so I go back on my designated path, and my next stop's going to be this Relic Shrine. I don't care what starting relic you started with. If you have room, pick up a relic. Now, I got 2 decent ones here. I mean, they're all normal quality, but that's expected on floor 1. The food supply has my eye because that would give me enough provisions to maybe do a second attack on the Warden, but Old Nib is probably the best relic in the game. So I strongly recommend if you see an old nib, you pick it up, especially if it's one of the higher level ones, because it's permanent, it never goes away, and every time you look at an unknown scroll, and you will always look at unknown scrolls, you'll get a class enhancement token, and I think the next level up gives you 2 class enhancement tokens, and that will help you level your units. So if you see an old nib, grab it. It's hard to walk away from that. There's the scroll that I was talking about. Once I use that scroll, I'll get a class enhancement token. I'm going to go ahead and grab this tent. Now, tents are limited, so they're kind of a first come first serve situation, but if you sleep in it, you get 3 extra provisions on floor 1. So now I'm going to use this scroll, and this is exactly what I was talking about. That middle one is really, really nice. My choices are to take a lower EXP one on the right, or have to do a battle and sacrifice some units, but because I leveled my classes up, I can use this middle one. But if I wasn't dedicated into warriors, I would probably have wanted to do a battle one, and because I enlisted heroes, I could do it. If you didn't enlist any heroes, that would be grayed out, and you'd only have the one crappy option. So that's why it's a good idea to enlist some heroes before you start looking at scrolls. Continuing onward and now upward, because of the Wanderer's Pipe and movement in general, I've got enough experience to level up again. I'm now level 4. Now, something to notice when you spend these class enhancement points, you can't raise your level higher than your current experience level. So now that I'm level 3, even though I've got the class enhancement points, I can't raise my warriors higher than level 3. Now there's a warrior statue over here. I debated about skipping it. It's kind of off the beaten path, but warriors are what I'm specializing in, and I just can't walk away from free stuff, so I'm going to slide over here and grab it. Oh, and there's a Tome of Knowledge too. I think I'll grab that too. I'm running a little low on provisions. You want to make sure you have enough provisions to do the Warden fight, so I gotta conserve my movement a little bit to get over here to that Warden. Now, the game is not making it easy for me. Scrolls and a relic shrine, it's hard to pass those up, but I should still have enough provisions to get to the Warden and do my fight. So I didn't put any classes, specializations into Rangers, so that one's grayed out. I've only got 2 options here, and I'm going to avoid the one that says consume extra provisions. It's only going to give me an extra artifact charm, which I can live without. The provisions, however, I need. Now, hopefully I get a really good relic here. Oh, yuck. Okay, so the golden kettle is great on floors 3 and 4 when you're opening chests. Here it's kind of trash because you're not opening chests. Vitality brew is for doing normal fights, and on floor 1 you should not be fighting normal monsters. So the mage's tome is really my only option, so who knows, maybe I'll raise mages for the first time as my 3rd class. Would have been really nice if that was for warriors, but we take what we get. Okay, so we resume our movement towards the Warden, and there's a tome here. Let's see, 15 provisions. It takes 6 to fight the Warden, and I got 5 if I use... Okay, so if I use that tome, that's 5. That takes me out of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. I've got just enough. There's 4 steps. It takes 6 to fight the Warden, and it takes 5 to use that tome. That's 15 provisions. Okay, so I think I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and grab that tome for the EXP. It takes me down to 10 provisions. Do these steps, and I have exactly 6 provisions left, and it takes 6 to do the fight, so we're in great shape. Now, the Burning Eye, or the Blind Eye Lich fight. The Lich has got some nasty skills. First, this chill skill. He deals additional damage, kind of like a Ragnar's Drink pop. He increases his combat radius every time somebody takes a turn. He dispels buffs from all enemies when he attacks, so it's hard to keep attack buffs on your unit. And then there's this particularly nasty skill. When he kills one of your units, he gets to take another turn, so he can kill more of your units. And lastly, Mind Shock. He seals all the passives on your units, so you want to avoid using units that rely on passives like Luna, for example. So my team for this fight, and there are several, you don't have to use this team of course, but the team that I decided to go with for this fight uses units I haven't enlisted yet. So I'm going to go ahead and enlist some more units. I'll pop out of this fight and go to the unit enlistment screen. Now I want to pick units that I can spam a lot of damage and not worry too much about passive blocking. And dual attacks are so powerful in this mode that I'm going to grab Kitty Clarissa, of course. And you know, speaking of dual attacks, I'll go ahead and pick up Camilla too. Camilla is a great dual attacker. Although she's reliant on attack buff, she does have a defense break on her S1. So as long as you're able to maintain an attack buff, she's basically like doubling your DPS. So for this fight we will run Fire Ken because Luna is not good into seals. I'll go ahead and pick up a healer. We'll try Amelia because of her CR pushing. And Camilla for the dual attacks, and Sinful Angelica for the dual attacks. Yeah, this team feels pretty good. Now let's take a look at the stats. You'll notice at this level I've only got 86% effective or crit chance, so I'm going to run Midnight Bloom on Kitty Clarissa. That'll take her to 100%. Camilla, it'll take her pretty close to 100%, like 99.2% crit chance. We'll give her Warhorn for damage. Ken, I'm going to run on Jacko's Symbol. All of his attacks are single target, so that does more damage than pretty much any other artifact in the game for him. And Amelia, you know, I don't think I'll be able to keep ahead of the damage so much, so I'll just put Ice Crystal on her because I'm too lazy to change her artifact. Okay, let's see how this team does. So at the start of the fight he does his big extra attack, and there's the Ragnar's Drink style pop damage.
Is it time for me, meow?
So we'll transform Kitty and just start laying down some attacks.
Meow, meow.
Good.
I'm going to go ahead and push Ken. I could push Camilla for the dual attack, but I want to get Ken out there and try to use his S2 to put a slow debuff and a defense break on the Lich.
I'll knock you into next week.
And it got resisted. Wait, can he be slowed? Yeah, he can be slowed, and he can be defense broken, so I just got RNG'd. There's no attack buff on Camilla, so I go ahead and use her S2 skill to give her attack buff and to refresh the one on Ken. And now I'm in really good shape to do some damage. The non-stop CR pushing of the boss is what makes a sustained fight difficult in this one. He just is going to attack so often. And the dual attacks are pushing him. They're making him double CR push every time I attack, but the damage I think is worth it. The dual attacks also stack Ken's passive up so quickly that he's able to use that S3 a lot, and it's good damage. Let's see. I'm hurt, but I'm not super hurt, so I'm going to save my S3. I'll push Ken up again. As the fight goes on, the Lich's damage starts to scale up. He'll hit harder and harder and harder until you eventually can't keep ahead of it, which is again why Bruiser-style teams, and why Knights especially, tend to suffer in a lot of these fights. I am kind of hurt now, so I'll rip this S3 and top everybody off. Get a barrier up, that should help keep us healthy.
It's too annoying. Don't give up.
It's nice to have that defense break on there. Both Camilla and Ken lay down defense breaks, so there shouldn't be any situation where I don't have a defense break on the Lich, and that'll let me do pretty good damage. If you go with Rangers as your main class or a side class, you can use target debuff, which is that combined with being able to use Asaria with Tamarin is one of the things that makes Rangers so good. So I'm looking at my health and I'm concerned. I should have taken Acades instead of Amelia for this one. I didn't think I would need the healing as much as I do, but I'm getting hit pretty hard, and I think if I'd used Acades I might have scored a bit higher on this fight, but I think we're going to push right up against 300k, and I'll be happy with that, as long as we can get to at least 250. Man, all these souls and nothing to do with them. I really should have taken Acades. Okay, we'll get the attack buff back up on Camilla so she can dual attack. We get another big attack out of Ken. I guess that's one thing I can do with souls is Ken can soul burn his S2 for an extra attack, which is, you know, extra attacks are just a lot of damage. Oh dear, as long as Ken gets to take a turn, this might... Oh man, his attack, that big attack he does strips, so I lost my attack buff, so no dual attacks. I guess I push Camilla up for the attack buff so that she can dual attack.
Do your best. Meow.
Oh, that was actually a mistake. I should have pushed Ken up so he could soul burn because all these attacks are going to CR push the Lich and he's going to kill somebody and you watch. He'll focus right into Ken. Man, did I call that? Oof, I guess he would have just killed everybody anyway. And when he kills somebody, he gets to attack again. And, you know, 350k damage at the level my warriors are at for the very first Warden fight, that is pretty good damage. I'll go ahead and take it. I might have gotten to 400k if I had taken Acades instead of Amelia, but the damage stacking's hard to stay ahead of. Now, I got some class enhancement points, and even though I have enough to level warriors, I can't level warriors because I'm already capped at 4. And you can't raise your class level higher than your current exploration level. Soul Weavers are good to raise though, and I'm just going to sit on the rest of the points I have. You'll want to sandbag points so that when your exploration levels go up, you'll immediately be able to level some classes. So that's it. One last thing you should do, especially if you're a coordinator, is see this teleporter? That's the teleporter I'm going to want everybody to go to. So I'm going to put a note on it to let everybody know that they should all teleport here. And one of the nice improvements on this map screen is you can see that note on the map screen. You didn't used to be able to see it before. And not only can you see it, but you can zoom in and out, and you can click on the note and it will tell you what it says. So that everybody knows that once the teleporters are open and running, that's where they're all to go. So tomorrow both of the wardens should be down and we will be able to activate the teleporters. Both wardens have to die before the teleporters will start working, so if you've defeated your warden and the teleporters are still not active, just sit tight. You can leave and come back in later and use any provisions you have left over. Once the teleporters are active, we'll be able to move on to the North Island. And that wraps up my Ancient Inheritance Day 1 walkthrough video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you like this series moving forward. I will go ahead and put links to the maps in the video, and I will pin it to the top of the comment section. If you have any questions about Ancient Inheritance, ask them. I'll do my best to answer. If you're enjoying this series, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can follow along as I continue to do walkthroughs on Ancient Inheritance, and likes are always appreciated. Have a great Monday, everybody.